I'm Dr. Stacey Rosen. I hope you've had a fabulous day. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm a cardiologist, a professor of women's health and cardiology, and the incoming president of the American Heart Association. I have had a fabulous 4 days, but I am ending my meeting with you all, and this is the best part of my day. This year's STEM Goes Red students at sessions, this has been extraordinary. First, a little bit about me, and my friends know this. I am the daughter of 2 teachers. I'm from New York. We grew up in Brooklyn. My parents were educators in the New York City school systems, and opportunities and education, finding mentors, exposing yourself, curiosity is how I was raised. And I think my mom, who's still living, may have been a little disappointed that I didn't become an educator, but she knows that mentorship and partnership and paying it forward is my priority. And I am so grateful to the people who allowed this first-generation doctor to find her passion. And I thank you for pursuing this with all of us. STEM Goes Red campaign has been a long-standing part of our Chicago community. It engages with schools in Chicago's South and West Sides to break down barriers, to encourage students to explore careers. As we say, you can't be what you don't see, and we want you to see that the sky is the limit to anything, and if anyone tells you you can't, they're wrong. At the same time, through our scientific councils, our Council on Clinical Cardiology, which is one of our sort of branches of the American Heart Association, has proudly sponsored its very own high school outreach program to introduce science-inclined students to the exciting world of cardiovascular. The program has helped more than 100 students each year learn from the American Heart Association presidents, chief medical officers, a host of nurses, physicians, and other healthcare clinicians and investigators. It's become a highlight for me and so many of my colleagues. So to nurture the next generation, to let everybody know that if you want it, you can do it. So today, these 2 programs merged. One of the favorite words we use at the American Heart Association is convene, and the other is amplify. So bringing together these 2 initiatives just empowers, and we know that 1 + 1 = 3, except on a math test. So we have 2 programs merged, bringing leaders together in their different fields of medicine, science, research, to let you hear from a group of us. And it's an opportunity, don't be shy, to ask us questions, listen to our story. It's a closed room, and we're very anxious to hear from you and help you start mapping out your future, as so many people have supported our journeys. I encourage you to be present. I'll put my phone away if you will too, please, except for photos if you want. But this is a great opportunity to invest in your future and to really appreciate all that we have to share with each other. Your wisdom teaches us, and we're here to answer all of your questions. As you know, the AHA's mission is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. And we now enter with all of you into our 2nd century. We hope you'll join us because we've got a lot of work to do. And if we don't bring all of you into healthcare, science, investigation, tech, medical administration, we're really going to fail our communities and ourselves. So we need you to be advocates for what we all do here at the Heart Association. So thank you. I'm delighted to moderate, and I'm going to bring some of my colleagues and friends up, and we'll have some questions. I'm going to turn straight to my right and have you introduce yourselves, and then we'll get started.
Hi, I am a senior at Central State University, majoring in agricultural science and education, minor in sustainable agriculture and nutrition. And I am from Columbus, Ohio.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Modele Ogunniyi. I'm a professor of medicine at Emory University, and my clinical practice as a cardiologist is at Grady Memorial Hospital.
Hi, I am Alexandra Hanrahan. I am originally from Venezuela, and I am currently an instructor in the Pulmonary and Critical Care Division at Northwestern.
Good afternoon. A couple of you guys know the drill. Clyde Yancy, I am a vice dean. I am a professor of medicine, chief of cardiology, and I'm a cardiologist here in Chicago, and I have a lot of friends in the audience, so I can't wait to engage with you.
I think we'll give the home team a round of applause, guys. What do you think? All right, let's get started. So we've all seen those memes that say how it started, picture, how it's going, picture. So let's ask each of you to tell us about your background, how did it start, and tell me how it's going. Modele?
So it started in Bronx, New York.
Woohoo! Sorry. We think Brooklyn is better, but go ahead.
So my father is a primary care physician, and I was born during his medical training. But when he was done at the age of 3, we moved back to Nigeria. So that's where I went to medical school, and then I came back after medical school to do a master's of public health, and we can talk about that at Hopkins, Johns Hopkins. And that was when I got interested in high blood pressure, and my career, both clinical and research, has been on that front. How it's going now, I got interested in mentoring. That's one of my passions, so I'm honored to be here today because I believe you can't be what you can't see. So I think that right now, what I do research, I see patients, I teach people, and as well mentor a lot of people. So that's how it's going now.
Fabulous. Clyde, do you want to share how it started and how it's going, please?
It started in the Deep South in the late 1950s, early 1960s. I grew up in a deeply segregated community, Scotlandville, Louisiana, a suburb unincorporated of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's just me and my mother. My father left us early on when I was quite young. We had very few means that we could use for anything other than education. But my mother valued education. She too was a teacher, just like Stacey's parents. And it was the one thing in our household for which there was unwavering support. So I started in a very simple place with an incredible number of people telling me no, no, and no again. No about where I could go to college, no about pursuing my dream of becoming a doctor, and certainly no about the schools I wish to attend. Where it is now, it's still a work in progress. And I mean that sincerely. My work isn't done until I enable your lives and your careers and your dreams to become a reality. I've done any number of things about which I'm humbly grateful, but the most important thing I can do is enable the lives of the next generation.
Inspiring, thank you. And mentor some of us grown-ups, so thank you. Aaron, tell us a little bit about how it started, where it's going.
Yes, ma'am. Where I started in Columbus, Ohio, about 4 years ago. I had no clue of going to college at first, but I got motivated by my family to give it a try. So me and my cousin decided to go to school together. We'll be the first two men in both sides of our families to graduate from college. How it started is when I first came to school, I didn't know what I wanted to do at first. I wanted to pick an easy major, just try to get a quick degree. But I got motivated by others. I was trying to figure out about scholarships and everything. So I found out about STEM. And then I learned a lot from other classmates and teachers. And then I got involved with agriculture. And then I got a minor in nutrition as well. So it started off very difficult because I didn't have a lot of knowledge on what I was doing. But thanks to the American Heart, I got offered a position with the HBCU Scholars, and I started learning a lot about biology, nutrition, really like broadened my horizon of about science. And I decided to get motivated, and I did an internship at Vanderbilt University, and they taught me a lot as well. I ended up on 5 scientific publications.
Wow.
And that's just where I'm at right now. Now I'm on track to graduate and start my career as a teacher, teaching people about nutrition and agriculture.
Fantastic. I think it will be going upwards for quite a long time. It's marvelous. Alexandra, share with us how it started, how it's going.
So, as I said before, I was born and raised in Venezuela in South America, and I am a daughter of a teacher as well and a veterinarian. And since I was very, very little, I was curious. I always wanted a microscope for my birthday. I would go to my dad's clinic to help in his surgeries as much as I could. And I went to medical school in Venezuela, and where I very early knew that I had this passion for research, and joined a lab there that had instruments that were created in the 50s and 60s, because Venezuela doesn't really have a lot of resources. And once I graduated, I knew that I wanted to pursue research as my career. And I came here and I did research for 3 years and finished my medical training in internal medicine and pulmonary critical care at Northwestern. And I currently do aging research in the lung, which is an impressive and very beautiful field that I'm very proud of being part of.
So, Alex, like you, I was a very inquisitive little kid. I'm certain that I met the definition of a nerd before it was coined by anybody. As a fourth grader, I took a big piece of plywood, built a weather station, and it worked. And I just kept going after it and after it and after it, because it seemed like I could get lost in science and nothing else in the external world was important at that moment. But just like you, I just looked for things to do in the science world.
Yeah, no, and one of the wonderful things about a career in medicine and science is that I hope you see from this, as we continue our conversation, the opportunities are boundless. It's not just a doctor, it's not just a scientist. Medicine, we like to say with no ill intention, is a team sport. And in order to do this right, we need those who are population scientists and advocates for government and funders. And so when you think of what we do and the definition to all of us of STEM and professions in healthcare and science and medicine are really almost boundless for you. For each of us. So we talk about mentorship and what it is, a couple of parts about that, and I'll ask each of you. What makes a good mentor-mentee partnership? What should one look for in a mentor? How should one be a good mentee? Has it changed over your career? Some are more senior than others, so whoever would like. I didn't mean you, Dr. Yancy.
I'll take a hit. I think that one of the most important parts of being able to do research of quality is to find a place that it is welcoming, that they approve of your ideas and your way of thinking, and to find a mentor that you can have very back and forward communication. The first time I came into the lab in 2015, they gave me a project, and I worked so hard for this project to be able to be successful. And every time I was just like getting hit by a negative result and a negative result and a negative result. And I went to my mentor and I told him, listen, I don't think that this is going to go anywhere. And he was like, this is not possible. It's just this has to work. Science says that it has to work. And the truth is that science is not really black or white. There are a lot of grays. And I told him, like, okay, that's fine. I will continue this project, but I want a side gig. Like, I really want something extra because I'm thinking that I like to get into this subject a little bit more. And he was very open to that because I was inquisitive. I was asking the question. It's not that I was just there to follow instructions. I wanted to know more and to do more. And that psychic got me a first author paper in an amazing journal. And it has given me a research career that I never even think that I would have. So I think that communication and that communication goes both ways for me, has been very, very big in my mentee-mentor relationship.
Thank you. Clyde?
Thinking about when I was your age and sitting in what would then have been a gym as opposed to an auditorium, for me, because I didn't have a father figure as a young person, I joined the Boy Scouts through my church and became very close to my scoutmaster and I still know him by name. He's passed on, but I became a part of his family even as an adult. And that was really about how to be a man, how to grow up, how to behave, how to, quite frankly, comport yourself, which is how do you present yourself to others where you are respected. Then when I got into college, there's one mentor that I vividly recall. It's my chemistry instructor. And pay attention to that person who says, why don't you come by the office and let's talk? That's the invitation for you to have a relationship with that teacher and to explore the additional dimensions of what it is you might be studying. So I would go by his office every afternoon. He would give me more problems, and I'd work the problems in chemistry. I'd take the exams just like everyone else, but he deliberately graded my tests more difficultly or more stridently or with more criticism. And I remember going to his office once pretty upset that he had been unbelievably harsh in the grading. He says, it's because I want you to do more and be better. And that's when I knew I'd found a mentor, someone who really believed in me and wanted to get me to the next level and didn't want me to just do good, but wanted me to be the best I can be. And I'm telling you those two stories for a reason. No one mentor can give you everything you need. Some can help mentor you in life, and that's what my Scoutmaster did. And some can help mentor you in science, which is what Dr. Jefferson did for me. And so be receptive to the people that can help you become the best version of who you are. And I'm always reflecting on a thought from an Olympian. Wilma Rudolph was a world-class Olympic winner in sprinting. This is back in the 60s, but she was born with an orthopedic defect. She went to Tennessee State University in Nashville. She overcame the defect and became one of the fastest sprinters ever. And when I read her autobiography, what she wrote in plain spoken language is, remember, there's always someone to thank. So you will never be able to do this on your own. Find those people, accept their gifts of guidance to you, and as you go along, always remember to reach back and say thank you. That ends up making a good mentor-mentee relationship.
Fabulous. Thank you. Modele, things to add?
So like Dr. Yancy said, it takes a village.
Yes.
And at different stages of my life, I have had mentors. And I'll say my first mentor was my father, sitting down with him and learning about life, not only the practice of medicine, but as I went on in life, I acquired different mentors. And they don't have to be physicians, they don't have to be people that you aspire to be, but they have something to give you. A mentor has to be authentic, compassionate, available for you, but it is a two-way street. The mentee-mentor relationship, you get more out of that relationship if you put something into it. So, for example, I tell my mentees that you have to reach out, get on my calendar. If you're waiting for someone to always reach out to you, then you're not going to get the benefit of that relationship. But make yourself available. Let them know that you're interested in this relationship. Because developing that relationship, it goes on. Even till now, I meet my mentors. My mentor that led me into the field of hypertension was here to support me when I gave a keynote address at this session, at the ABC session. So you develop long-term relationships. Reach out and be present in that relationship.
Clyde, did you have something to add? I didn't know if you were pushing forward. No. Aaron, so why don't you share with us your experience probably being a mentee and what you found optimal or challenging in those mentors who've gotten you to this great state?
Yes, ma'am.
You got it.
Yes, ma'am. When it came to me finding a mentee, I knew that my science knowledge was very low, like my biology was very low at the moment. So I'd say you need to find someone who is willing to be patient. Because when I first started, I was at Wright State University. I was struggling a lot. I only had one biology class at the time, so trying to go into a lab and do research about hypertension and stuff, it was crazy to me at the moment. But she decided to be patient with me. I decided to come in more and do extra lessons and get extra knowledge about hypertension. And eventually, I ended up catching on and becoming the best person I can at this. I went to sessions just like, well, these are high school shows. Well, I went to sessions with the American Heart, and I presented my research, and it was one of the biggest 360s of my life, because I went from not knowing anything to knowing almost everything I needed to know to be the best person I can be in that lab. And then I ended up going to Vanderbilt University after that, which was terrifying to me, because that's one of the most prestigious schools when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Totally.
So I'm like, man, went from barely knowing almost nothing about biology to working with some of the best. But luckily for me, I got another good mentor who was also willing to be patient with me. And that took a lot of time, I will not lie, but at the end of the day, it was very beneficial. And I got, I already mentioned it earlier, I ain't trying to sound like a broken record, but I got my publications with that. And we still talk to this day. It's a very good relationship between me and him. If I need advice, I ask him about it. And that's the best advice I can kind of give, is just try to find someone who's willing to be patient with you, especially if you're new or not too sure what you want to do with biology or chemistry or whatever y'all choose to do in the future.
Fabulous, thank you. Before I pivot, I'm going to sort of just reorient us. So the lessons that you heard: be curious, be persistent. No is temporary. That no is just something to get you more motivated and started. Be fearless. Know that even if you think at the beginning you may not have the ability or the talent, if you are curious, if you work hard, as Dr. Yancy said, show up in the right places and say yes when someone offers you, even if that ask seems something that's a lot of work or maybe not, the ultimate opportunity for you. And self-awareness, thank you, because what you described to us is the ability to see where you have opportunities for growth and pursue them in a relentless way. We at Northwell joke about, you be a woodpecker. If somebody says no, you just keep going till you get what you need. So let's pivot to a massive topic for all of us, and health equity.
Stacey,
Yes, Clyde, go ahead.
before that pivot, again, thinking that many of you will be right at the beginning of college, either in less than a year or within 2 to 3 years, think about establishing a mentoring relationship as soon as you get your dorm room. It's best to do this early, and it's best to do this before there's a crisis.
Yeah.
Not everybody is willing to do crisis management, but everybody wants to help build. So assume that this is one of the things necessary for your success.
Yeah.
In fact, it is. So just remember, start early, very early, and start before there's a burning issue on the table. It'll go much more smoothly if you do that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And your advice about each of you, that you don't get everything you need from one mentor. I look back on my people who I am, standing on their shoulders, basically, and grateful forever. And there were some who couldn't help me with personal challenges, and some who may not have given me optimal advice, career goes. But the arc of what we're doing is long, and you get this whole raft of a team base to get it moving. So thank you. Let's talk about health equity. Tell me what it means for patients, for each of us as, community members. Where are we going with the focus on health equity for our medical community? Whoever would like to start, please. All right, now I'm channeling my mother. Modele, you're up first.
So health equity just means that everybody has a just and a fair chance at getting healthy. So in terms of patient care, we're talking about access to care, and not just access to health care, but access to quality health care, access to resources, vital conditions that make healthcare possible. So I'll give you an example. I'm a cardiologist in what we call a safety net hospital, Grady Hospital. A safety net hospital means a hospital that really provides healthcare to people who are underserved, underrepresented, marginalized population. So most of my time really is not it's spent in clinical care, but when I see a patient in the context of the environment, their social environment, their physical environment, their political environment, and I'm thinking outside the box. When I prescribe this medication, how do they get access to it? How do I involve my team of a community health worker, of a pharmacist, to make sure that my patients get these medications? So I see patients mostly who have what we call congestive heart failure, a weak heart, and when those patients come, we have a team of a pharmacist, a team of a nurse practitioner, social worker, because we need to make sure that they can get the therapy that we prescribe. So one thing, like Dr. Rosen said, medicine is a team sport. So we have that team that makes sure, one, the patient can get to the appointment, so transportation access. They can get their medications, their refills. They can even participate in research. So I think that for me, health equity is having a multidisciplinary team to make sure my patients have an equal and fair chance to healthcare.
Laura, can you just explain to all of us about clinical research, and what it means to be a participant, why it's important?
So clinical research takes many forms. So simply put, clinical research is research in the setting of healthcare. It could be a clinic or it could be within the hospital. So when patients come, I am what we call a researcher or an investigator. So I want to find out, I have a question. So for example, does this medication prevent my patients from coming to the hospital, or does it help them to live longer? So as I'm seeing my patients, I tell them, we have a program here. We're trying to understand if this medication will prevent you from coming to the hospital, is even safe for you to use. So in that setting, I can explain what the research is about, what we call a clinical trial, and I spend time, we have what we call informed consent, going through this. And sometimes patients come, they bring their families, I give them time to review it and say, I'll call you back. And I also have a team. I don't always do this. I have a team of what we call clinical research coordinators. So once I have introduced the topic, they come in, they talk with them, and later they can call and say, hey, I read through this, I have questions. But every medication, every medical device that you see that has been approved for use started being investigated in the research scene. So I tell them that the medications you're on today, because someone participated in research, that is why it's approved. So you have an opportunity to contribute to research. I am here to help you understand the questions, but you're making a step towards advancing science. And where I practice, a lot of my patients, because they see that I'm invested in moving research forward, I'm invested in their care, I am the primary doctor, they usually want to engage in clinical research.
Thank you. Alexandra, what does health equity mean to you? How is it yes? And we need all of us. Historically, much of this research was done in middle-aged white men, and we made a lot of extrapolations, a lot of assumptions for those of us who are not middle-aged white men. And so the importance of this kind of work and prioritizing that as a focus is unbelievably vital for us to get to more equitable care. So, Alexandra, please.
Yeah, no, that's following this it's hard because you gave just such a broad and amazing explanation for what health equity is. So I'm going to touch on a couple of different points. I do basic science research, so I don't work with patients in my research. I work mostly with mice, animal cells in the lab. And for a while in the lab that I trained, we did research only on male mice. And in the past 7 years, we have really realized that we cannot just do this because we have to ask a question, is gender, is it sex really related to any of the outcomes that we see? are these drugs that we are studying, or these diseases that we're studying, different in male or in female. So I don't think that any journal nowadays will ever accept you if you have research that is only done in male mice. So like we're really pushing forward. I'm lucky enough that I work with a cardiologist that is very conscious of doing this. So now all my research, even though it's more challenging and requires more numbers, we do in both male and female mice. But the other thing that I really wanted to touch base is that as a trainee, as a mentee, as a internal medicine resident, I also was able to be part of groups that deliver medicine to underserved populations. So when you go to institutions like Northwestern, where I trained, they have programs that are helping populations that are underserved. So we had like a historically Black population or historically Hispanic population, and I'm from Venezuela, I speak Spanish, so I'm like, I have to be part of this. I have to be able to give help to patients like me that didn't speak English, that have questions, that every time they go to the doctor, sometimes they are just not able to understand what's going on. So for me, I really pride myself of saying, like, every time there's a Spanish-speaking patient in the hospital or in clinic, I'm just like, yeah, let's just like sit down and spend even 2 or 3 times the time that I need to spend with a patient for you to be able to understand and leave the clinic really understanding what's going on, and answer all the questions that you have, because I think that this country, it's an amazing country made of immigrants that really need to be able to understand their health processes.
So respect and partnership. Clyde, Dr. Yancy is truly one of our associations and the country's premier forces about the importance of health equity. So Clyde, thank you for everything you've done and taught us.
Thanks, Stacey. Let me engage you in a thought experiment. I need everyone to look this way for me. Perfect. So how many people in the audience enjoy basketball? Hands, basketball. Do you watch basketball? You go to the game, you enjoy the games? How many? Show me some hands.
Don't be shy, come on.
It's just a simple question. Do you like hoops? All right. Of everyone that has their hand up, how many of you can dunk a basketball?
All right, the hands go up higher.
Okay. I've got 3 people that can dunk a basketball, and I've got about 100 that enjoy it. Now work with me on this. Work with me on this. Basketball is a sport. It's entertainment. But what if instead of talking about dunking a basketball, we're talking about being able to access health care, take an antibiotic if you're sick, have a life-saving surgery if you're injured, receiving a kidney transplant or a heart transplant if your kidney or your heart has failed. When we're talking about health, you shouldn't have to be 6'8" and have a 40-inch vertical. Everybody should be able to access that particular good or service for the benefit of their health. The first model I shared with you is a model of privilege. You happen to be very tall, very athletic, and you can dunk a basketball. But the second model should be a model of rights. Everybody should be able to get the right care at the right time for the right condition given to them in the right way. And we're not there yet. And so that's why instead of talking about health equity, we keep fighting against health inequities. And many of you in this room, because you're female, because your background is different, because your skin is pigmented, you will have difficulty getting the right care at the right time in the right way for the right reason. And so it goes from something that's very clear in your mind about a basketball game to something that's very important to your health about accessing health care. And so that's what we define as health equity. Now, in terms of how we need to get there, we need everyone in the room, for everybody that you represent and everybody in the dais who we represent, to be engaged. We have to be persistent, saying that we need to receive the right therapy. We need to resist anyone who says that we can't for whatever reason. And we need to insist on it. So we need to have advocacy. We need to have a voice. And those of us that are up here now do the research. to try to demonstrate that there are no reasons biologically why we can't treat people in the same way with the best therapists. And then people like me and Dr. Rosen have to use our voice from positions of leadership to say we need to do the right thing and make certain that people can enjoy the gift of health and access to health care as necessary to live fulfilled lives. And so that's where we are at this moment in time, at least. And I hope that in the future, particularly as people like you coming to STEM fields and maybe health and healthcare, we can see a very different world where everyone gets a chance to receive the best possible chance at health. That's what's most important.
Thank you. Well said. Yes. The beauty of that mission is that it's really bad science to do it, and all of us as, science nerds, as Dr. Modele and Yancy and Alex spoke about, it's bad science to do this otherwise. I'm just going to pivot. We don't have a lot of time. Aaron, tell us about your experience as an HBCU scholar.
My experience as an HBCU scholar was amazing. When I first found out about the American Heart Association, I had a friend who was already in the program, and she said they was looking for more people to join from my school. And then I said, what was the requirement? She said, as long as you're a STEM major. So I hopped right on that. I was excited. I got into the program. I talked to the president and had a great interview. And thanks to the American Heart, I got to do a lot of things I never was able to do before. I've never, been on a plane. I went to Chicago and I did a lot of good networking with a lot of good people. I presented my first ever research in North Carolina, which that was pretty fun. And then that's how thanks to American Heart, I was able to build a lot of great relationships with mentors and cool people that I've met in the lab, learned a lot about biology, animals, hypertension, the stuff that I was doing my research on. And I'll say it was a 10 out of 10 experience because of the opportunities that were given to me. And I would love to do it again.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Thank you. Alexandra, tell us about being an HSI mentor, and what, in your opinion, what is the value for you and for your colleagues in participating in the HA Scholarship Mentorship Program?
Yeah. I've been part of this program for the past 3 years, and I've had the honor to host 2 different students in my lab. It's been an amazing experience to be able to see how their faces just light up to when they see what we do. It's like how are you doing this? It's kind of like magic. It's like you don't really understand how science works until you're there and you're doing it. And the fact that both of my students were extremely successful, so they went on to present their posters at the conference, and I had the very, very beautiful moment of about a year later, one of my students reached out and said that she had gotten into nursing school. Awesome. And that has been one of my proudest moments because it means that part of my mentorship really got deep into her and say, yes, you can do this. I have been through this and I have been through all of this hardship, and you sometimes feel you're going against the system, but you will be able to do it if you work hard and if you are curious and you ask the appropriate questions. So that was beautiful, and it's just made my career. Yeah.
We only have a bit longer, so let's ask some questions. Nobody, please be shy. We told you it's a safe space. And questions from this amazing group?
What is it like to go to medical school in Venezuela? That was the question. It was completely different experience than what medical school is. It's based in a different system, and we still up to date because I recently hosted a student from Venezuela this summer. They do everything in paper. We don't have electric systems, and the patients have to pay for their blood tests every day. Their patients have to pay for their X-rays every day. And it's a system that it's really broken. But the teachers are there every day, and they are using the same tools that they use here to be able to keep themselves up to date with the science and everything. So the learning experience was very good, but it was very challenging for patient care. And when I came here and I saw what healthcare can be and how we can advance patients' care so much faster, it was just such an eye-opening experience. I knew that I really wanted to train here.
In the back, I think it stood up first, please.
It's nice to meet you. My name is Jameer, and I was wondering, what's your definition of saving a life? Like, does it start right now or only in critical moments once the patient gets into the emergency room?
Jameer, that's a good question. Do you think saving a life is what you see in the movies and on television, where you're right there at the moment, you do something very dramatic, and the person is alive and well? And I've done that many times over. But the way we really save a life is first by education, helping you understand what kind of decisions to make about your health. And the second way we save a life is by prevention, meaning we identify your blood pressure ahead of time. We identify your diabetes ahead of time. And we make those steps necessary before it becomes a more compelling issue.
Others? We have a moment or two more. Please? Yes. No? Just scream it out if you'd like.
I had a question for Miss Ogunniyi. You said before that you're a professor at Emory University. What is it like being a professor there?
So being a professor, we put it in 3 buckets. There's clinical medicine, there's teaching, and there's research. So in my university, I do all of that. How is it like being a professor? I will tell you, I am the first Black female professor in my division. I don't share this to get applause, but I share it to say that things are possible. I trained at Vanderbilt, so I'm so excited that he talked about Vanderbilt. But to be a professor means that you have attained the highest level. So you start by being an instructor, assistant professor, an associate professor, and then a professor. And it opens doors for you to mentor people, to do research. I still see patients. I'm on call starting 5 p.m. today, so I gotta get back. But being a professor helps me to mentor people like you and to see patients.
I'm getting this from our leaders. Again, thank you. I hope you walk away inspired. I hope you walk away fearless, committed. There will be a role for you, and we need everyone in our House of Cardiology and House of Health. There are jobs for administrators. I think the 4th bucket for some of us in our professorships is just that. So please, you are our future, and to really give our communities and ourselves and our families a better opportunity to live longer, healthier lives, we need all of you. So thank you. We're going to head into the Mentors with Heart session where you'll connect with STEM professionals. I believe that if you're on your group name is there, so we'll tell you where to go. The staff will help. Equally important, let's give a big shout out for this extraordinary panel.